Welcome to our guest today, who has racked up over 350 games at professional level. Following his career in football, he shifted his focus to personal development and now runs a successful events company based in Edinburgh. Please welcome Scotty Linton. Hi Scott, thanks for joining us. Sum up your football career in 3 words or less.
Could have done more. I'm going to shorten the 4 words to could have, which is 1 word. Could have done more.
Right, take us back to your earliest memory of football.
My dad took me to Ibrox when I was 2 or 3. I don't remember an awful lot about it, but speaking to him, like there's parts of me being really young that I do remember going to Ibrox with. I think it was a pre-season game against Arsenal, and I just remember having my hands over my ears because it was too loud, and you know, but I loved it. And then my dad had 2 season tickets for Ibrox, and my sister and I would share kind of like a time week in, week about. And I used to absolutely love that, and that was in the era of like George Alberts, Gaza, Marco Negri up front, like these players, Loudrock.
Scotland could attract some of the best players in the world.
Yeah, so that was a really good time to go and watch Rangers. And my dad's from the West, so that explains the kind of Rangers connection there. Mm-hmm. But growing up, we'd always go to the Rangers games. Playing wise, it was just starting out. Like I just started kicking a ball as soon as I could, and then through primary school, playing in the playground at lunchtime, and I just used to remember it was just the best time of day. It was just going out there, and then everyone would meet at the football pitch, and then it was just a free for all. But it was the best time. And then obviously as you get that wee bit older, you've joined school teams, and good memories.
And you were in at Hibs Academy for a long period of time.
So do you know what? I don't know where. I think that's on Wikipedia. I don't know where they're getting this from. And it was in all the match day programmes when I was playing. It was like ex-Hibs. I trained with them for, 2 months.
Right.
And then it came up to like Easter holidays, so everyone broke off, and then I just never got asked back.
Right.
So I don't know.
So how did you sort of start then in terms of playing? Was it teams, or when did you make your progress into professional sort of football? So
I played for Salvation Boys Club, and then left there and went to a team called Curry Star, and that was all my schoolmates. Like when I was at Salvation, I had, you're in first year, second year at school, you start to build more of a friendship group.
Yep.
And some of my mates were at Hutchie Vale, some of them were at Curry Star, some were at Bonnyrigg, some were at Salvey. And then we all just joined Curry Star. And then I had a really good season there. And I remember Spartans came in for me when I was 14 or 15.
Right.
And I really wanted to go because it was for the under-19s. But I remember that's the only argument I've ever had with my dad in football. I was like, I want to go. And he was like, you're too young, like stay another year. And I'll never forget him like threw his phone down in the living room and stormed out the room because it was just this massive disagreement. But I was like, I want to go.
Yeah.
So I ended up staying at Curry for.
What was his reasoning for not letting you go? Was it
just thought I was too young?
Friends, or
he thought I was too young to go.
In what sense?
It was a big jump. I was I was 15 maybe, and then to play for the under-19s, I would have been first year 19s, and I thought this was a great opportunity. I thought more professional, better standards.
Yep.
But he thought another year at 19s at boys club level. So I ended up staying another year, and then Spartans came in for me again when I was of the age where I could go.
Yep.
So went to Spartans at 16, played for their first team at 16, and then I think I only played once or twice, but trained with the first team, and then had a really good season with the 19s. I think we won the league. We got quite far in the Scottish Cup. And then, because we had a really good 19s team, Cowdenbeath were spending a lot of time watching us. They had a really good scouting network at the time. So they took me and a couple of other boys from Spartans, and then went to Cowdenbeath at 19.
Started your professional?
Started professional career there, yeah.
And you played over 300 games?
Yeah, over 300. I think it might be over 350, but yeah.
Not that anyone's counting.
Nah.
So from that time period in your 350 professional games, when were you at your happiest and performing at your best?
I was at my happiest when I was at Dumbarton in the first year. It I remember it so well. So I'd been at Cowdenbeath for about 6 years. There had been a couple of teams, I think Wraith and Dunfermline had approached Cowdenbeath and wanted to sign me. But because I was under 23, there was the development fee that they would have had to have paid. And this was at a time where money was completely out of Scottish football.
Yep.
So I had to stay at Cowden until I was 23 or 24. So at the end of my contract with Cowdenbeath, when I knew I could leave on a free, I was like, right, I need something new. I've done 6 years here. I want to test myself. I want to go somewhere else. And I actually, I'd played maybe over 150 times for Cowden at the time. Jack Ross was the assistant manager at Dumbarton, and Ian Murray had not long come in.
Yep.
And because I was a member of the PFA and I had a good relationship with Stuart Lovell at the PFA, I was like, look, I'm kind of out of, I don't have any teams like that are aware that I'm available. Like, what can I do? So Jack Ross was part-time assistant manager at Dumbarton, but worked for the PFA. So then he said to Ian Murray, look, let's get Scott in. But because Ian Murray had never seen me before, he was like, well, he needs to trial.
Yeah. So
I actually went to Dumbarton on a trial. It was 2 or 3 weeks, played a couple of bounce games and then got signed. And they already had a left back there, and he was like really pally with the manager.
Right.
I'd played the whole season before it. We actually travelled through together, and I was competing for the same spot in the team.
And how was that?
I enjoyed it. I kind of cemented my place in the team right away.
And did it push you on, do you think?
Yeah, 100%. 100% pushed me on. Got my place in the team. It did make for a few frosty car journeys coming back, mind you. But yeah, so that first season, I think because I had a point to prove, Dumbarton had a really good team. I was playing well, and we finished 4th or 5th in the championship part-time. So we ended up being the best part-time team in Scotland, and we got to the Scottish Cup quarter-final as well, which was a great experience. Yeah. So I just remember that as it was probably when I was playing at my best. But then Clyde as well, when I went and played for Clyde, I played a totally different position under Barry Ferguson and probably had the best year of my career from a stats perspective.
Yep. What was it like playing under Barry Ferguson?
I loved it. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. There's a lot of people out there that say they didn't enjoy playing under him or whatever, but he got the best out of me. I loved the standards to be impeccable at training.
Yeah.
I loved the professionalism of it all. He got the best out of me. So
I think it's like anything. If you don't have standards, how can you achieve anything? And I think if you look at Barry Ferguson as a player, like he was unbelievable. Like technically, he was very intelligent, but again, like he drove the team forward. He was a leader.
Yeah.
So you would expect his management style to be like that.
I think the problem that part-time players had with him was he brought exactly that to part-time level. And there's a lot of boys that are like good players, but they just want to come for
get paid and go.
To get paid. They want to win and they want to train, but they want it to kind of be relatively relaxed. Whereas that was not an option with him, and that's what I liked.
Yeah.
So we worked well together, and he actually signed me for Kelly Hearts at the end of my career as well. So
you must have done well.
I must have done all right.
See, on that, do you reckon? It's funny you talk about like culture. Part-time is slightly different for the fact, like a lot of people don't respond well to coaches that are total like demanding and want to push someone to improve. Did you notice a difference in terms of the younger players? Did they enjoy that, and the older players that maybe just wanted to go and train and go home? Was there any divide in the teams from that point of view?
I did feel like towards the end, the younger players found it really difficult to buy into what he was trying to do.
Right. Was that old school mentality, do you think, that they just couldn't get their head around?
They didn't respond well to it at all. Right. And criticism was the big one.
Was it constructive criticism or?
I'm sure it came from a good place. Whether it was delivered in the right way or not is another story. But you'll have been the same when we were kind of coming up at the same time. Like that, you just had to accept that you were spoken to in a certain way, and you had to deal with it. It was sink or swim. And some boys swam, some boys sank, and I think we didn't have an option. Whereas towards the end of my playing time, it became apparent that there was a lot of boys that hid in their shell and they didn't truly express themselves. You know, there was players that I played with that you're like, you've had a decent career and you've come here, and I'm like, what is this? And then they've gone on somewhere else, and they've obviously been able to express themselves again because they've played under a different manager, and they're thriving again. So yeah, it's each to their own.
And what style do you like better?
I like the demanding, like, you know, if you were doing fast feet drills in the warm up, whatever, if you hit a cone, he would be on you, like, and I'm talking on you. And I'd never seen anything like that in my life before, but it just shows you the standard of stuff. And I got a bollocking a few times. We'd be doing a crossing and finishing drill, and up at Kelty the wind was horrendous. And Thursday night, you know, like, you would whip a crossing, and if you'd overcooked it or the wind had taken it on, he would stop the drill and just go absolutely mental. And you know it's the wind, but you're like, I just need to take this on the chin.
It shows you the difference in standards though. If he's used to dealing with like international players, and I think to get to that level, that your attention to detail must be like you're saying, impeccable. You must hit certain standards, you must be driven, you must have demands, otherwise there's no way you're reaching that level.
Nah.
So I think that's a difficult thing with part-time, and a lot of managers will find difficult, because players don't maybe have that drive or that resilience to be completely honest with them, saying you need to improve in X, Y and Z. And a lot of players don't like to hear what they're not good at. They just want to hear the positives.
Totally.
So when were you at your lowest point then in football?
My second year at Dumbarton.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was when I realised that I had problems that I had to deal with. I'll never forget it. I used to have times where my vision would kind of go blurry, like at the start of a game, like you know how you're meant to have like razor focus, and I was really struggling to be able to see, and I couldn't understand for the life of me what it was, and I kind of just, because I didn't understand it, I didn't know what it was, I didn't know how to address it. But there was a game against Raith Rovers, and because I was playing left back, if we had a corner, I'd be back at the halfway line, and I had blurry vision, and they broke, and the ball came to me, and I made a massive mistake just because I didn't know my whereabouts and I didn't know what I was doing, and they went through and scored, and I just was like, enough's enough. Like, I need to deal with this. So I spoke to Jack Ross about it, because he was obviously A, assistant manager, but B, he was working for the PFA, and I was like, I have no idea what the hell's going on. But as well, I would have I had a really good game, whether I scored or got man of the match. Like, I'd go into training on the Tuesday, and something in my head would say to me, who do you think you are? Get back down there, you're nothing. And I would go into the next training session like a shell of, I had no confidence, let alone, you know, I've just played really well, and the boys are all, you know, singing my praises and stuff, but I'd go into training feeling so low. So that, and then obviously the kind of vision thing, I just thought, I feel horrendous, like I need to get this sorted. So spoke to the PFA, they put me in touch with a psychologist, and then spent a bit of time with a psychologist, and then just had to start to try and get to the bottom of what was going on in my mind. But that for sure was definitely the lowest point. And, you know, even during that time, again, playing left back, if a team was kicking off at the very start of the game, and I knew, you know how you can kind of tell where a team is going to kick off and how they're going to. So I knew that the team was going to lay it back to the centre mid, and he was just going to ping it on top of me for the right mid. Before the ball had even been kicked, I was like, they've targeted me as a weakness. I'm the weakness in the team. Shit, what? Like, and then my mind had gone. My confidence was shot, and I was then fighting an uphill battle to try and get through that game. So, yeah.
And how did you work through that?
I don't actually know if it was ever something that I properly got on top of while I was playing football, because it still affected me even when I finished at my last club at Kelty. It got better because I was speaking to different people throughout the rest of my career with confidence. But I think being aware of it helped ever so slightly, but it actually didn't really change too much throughout the rest of the time that I was playing. So
I think the difficulty with football, it's like everything happens really quick. It's like game, train. So it's like you're not really getting much time to go away and work on yourself and learn why you're feeling certain ways.
Totally.
And another thing is it wasn't really talked about a lot.
Well, that was just what I was going to say. It was at that time, and it's not that it was taboo or whatever. It's just you just didn't know anything else. So as I say, like I couldn't understand why I was feeling that way. I didn't know how to address it, and it takes a long time to go from that to then being able to just completely disregard any negative comments or any negative thoughts that are coming through your head. So I just found it, like I just had to manage my way through it somehow, and I definitely did get better as the years went on, but it wasn't something that I ever overcame.
Yeah, it's funny. I was going to say that. It's like it takes years to develop a positive mindset. Like this is again, like I think the thing is lack of education.
Yeah.
Like nobody talks about mindset or how to develop a positive mindset. Like by doing positive affirmations or like self-talk and visualization, like none of that is explained to young athletes.
Totally.
And if you could get that from a young age, because I've obviously heard how talented you were as a player, but if your mind's not right, your body's not going to perform the way you want it to perform. And funny, we just had Josh Walker on, and he was saying similar, like confidence is such a massive part of like your performance. Do you know what I mean? You can go from an elite athlete 1 minute to average if your confidence plummets. It's like it's imperative in how you're going to play.
Couldn't agree more. And I think something as well is like it's all fine and well going and speaking to a therapist or whatever, but every individual is different. So you know, if like what might work for you might be totally different for me, but you have to be self-aware to try so many things. And this is what you're saying about it taking years, because there has been so much trial and error with, right, I'll try this, and that doesn't really resonate with me, I'll try something else, until you find things that work for you. So I think that was why, because I think that was why it took me so long to get over that. And well, it wasn't until after my football career really that I've managed to get on top of everything. But I was going in blind. I didn't know where to start, and it was just a case of trying to chip away, and yeah, it was tough.
If you look back, at what age do you think you would have liked to be introduced to personal development and working on your mindset?
Probably at about 14, 15, to be honest with you. Yeah.
No, it's funny because the kids I'm sort of starting with are like 13, so roughly like 13, 14. And that, like you can see when you're working on the difference, because they're repeating their positive affirmations, they're doing the visualization techniques before games, and I've noticed a massive difference in their confidence. But it's like anything, you're what you tell yourself you are. So if you keep telling yourself that you're positive and you look for the positives in certain scenarios and opportunities for learning and development, it becomes a lot easier. So the setbacks, etc., you actually enjoy the sort of journey as opposed to focusing on the result. If that makes sense?
100% agree.
No, that's interesting. Yeah. So we touched on personal development. So what does personal development mean for you?
It's something I live by every single day. Obviously, I think the football issues that I went through were the catalyst for it. But then I actually began to really enjoy it. And then when you start to see improvements, it becomes like an addiction. It's something that I still probably don't talk about as openly enough as what I should with people. But because I know how hard I've worked on personal development, you then see people that are in your inner circle and that they're just kind of not as invested in it as what you are. So you just don't really want to not waste their time, but you feel like if you talk to them about it, they're going to think that
there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. So I just I know what works for me. I love the personal development journey that I've been on, but it's an everyday thing. This is another thing that people don't understand. They think, once you do it over a period of time, you start to feel better, and then that's you. It's not. It's every single day.
100%.
So
your habits make you who you are. Do you know what I mean? And you're human, so you're going to have good days and bad days. But if you've got good habits, you can very quickly get yourself out of the bad days. And I'm exactly the same way. I love all this stuff. So how's it helped you in your career?
I've been doing personal development now for a number of years, but I think for the first maybe 3 or 4, it was quite watered down. it was, again, I was going through finding out what worked for me, what didn't. But I went through a period of my life where I'd played football up until I was 26, 27. I'd just played football, or that's all I ever wanted to do.
Yep.
And then you get to 26 and yeah, you're still young, but a lot of people that you've kind of grown up with that are the same ages, or maybe 6-7 years into a career, I was now trying to figure out, right, what is it I want to do in my life?
Yep.
So I was still I was going through a period of finding out everything, and then I fell into doing what I'm doing now and continued my personal development journey. And I think there's so many things that it's helped me with, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I got to maybe 2 years ago, and I would go through the week and there would be a day or two where I'd be feeling amazing, feeling really good energy, and then the next day I'd be flat.
Right.
And I was kind of up and down and up and down, and I just got to the point, 2021, I was like, enough's enough. Like, I'm not expecting to feel $1 million every single day, but there must be more. Like, you can feel better than how I'm feeling. And it was a case then of actually prioritizing personal development as opposed to just doing it.
Yep.
Kind of, reading a chapter or two of your book at night or whatever it is. Like, it was like, no, this is now a priority. So, okay, so now it's a priority. What does that look like? How is this going to shape the rest of my week? And it just, I found things that worked for me, and then you find that.
What sort of things work for you? Like, you
So
feel we advise in terms of, like, for young kids starting out, what sort of things would you get them started in to try and help them feel good about themselves and more confident?
Going to the gym in the morning for me is massive on a couple of levels. Obviously, the benefits that you get from exercising and going to the gym, but even just mentally knowing that I'm up, my alarm goes off at 5:45 in the morning, I'm up, I've done the gym, I'm home by 8 o'clock, and you've got this sense of achievement.
Yep.
The discipline that comes with that, the consistency that comes with that, you can then take into your career.
Yep.
And so I've noticed that as a big thing. So when things get a wee bit tough at work, it's not a sulk and feel sorry for yourself. It's right, okay, you've got the discipline, like you've got the trust within yourself that you can do hard things, and then you can take that into your career. And I guess from the fitness perspective, that's why I did the marathon a couple of years ago. I raised money for charity, but it was actually more to push myself than for anything else. Like, I didn't do it with anyone else. It was like, I want to see how hard I can push myself, and did the marathon.
Stepping outside your comfort zone.
That for me now is actually something I look for, as opposed to years ago it would be something you avoid because, oh, this is uncomfortable. I don't know what the outcome's going to be. I don't know if I'm competent enough in this. It's now like, is this going to make me uncomfortable? Yeah, okay, great, I'm going to do it, because that's how you grow. And I just see that as, if I want to grow, that's the only way I'm going to grow, is if I get in an uncomfortable situation.
Do you think too many people play it safe? I agree. I think you need to be comfortable being uncomfortable. In terms of, like, if you want to develop as a person, you need to put yourself in situations that scare you.
100%.
It was the same when I started this. I was like, the one thing that scared me was public speaking and speaking in front of people. And I was like, do you know what? Like, that was my goal for this year, was to start this. And again, try and promote sort of personal development and getting kids in good habits, because you are your habits. So I totally agree with you.
100%. But if starting out, if I was to do it again, I journal a lot. Again, you tell your friends and family that you journal, they'll be like, what do you write? What? But I went through a difficult period, kind of spring 2021, and I started to journal, and I thought, what am I going to get out of this? But I just wrote down thoughts. I didn't really have like a strategy, or I just wrote down.
When it's written down though, you can process things better.
Yeah. So I just wrote down everything that was going on in my mind, and didn't want to make sense of it. I just wrote down what was going on in my mind, and the benefits of that are crazy. I've got a Word document on my laptop now with over 100,000 words on it from journaling over the last couple of years. That's helped me massively, because I think, again, like, I'm very much up in my own head. I'm an overthinker. I think a lot. So getting it out on paper or getting it out on my laptop has helped massively. Exercise is.
And see, when it helps you, is it just a case of processing things and once it's out on the paper, do you feel better after it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it just, I don't know how it happens, but it just makes things a lot clearer because it's out of your mind.
Yep.
It's on a bit of paper and you've managed to articulate the thoughts that are going on in your mind. Another thing that has helped me massively, so say you're sitting down, or say I'm sitting down on the couch and you get I need to put washing on. 9 times out of 10, I would have just been like, I'll do it tomorrow or do it the next day. Now I've got a thing in my mind. It's like the minute that thought comes up, like you need to do this, I just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And it's actually really hard to break that barrier down. But see, once you do it, you then start to build trust with yourself. And I think confidence comes from believing that you'll do the things that you say you're going to do.
Yeah, 100%.
And once you show yourself over time that you are someone that's true to their own word, you do just naturally get a sense of confidence in yourself. And if you've got confidence in yourself, then that just flows into everything else that you do.
Yeah, showing up, you're right, you're bang on. So the skills that you've learned from sport and part of your personal development, how's that benefited you as an entrepreneur?
Standards is kind of like the first word that just kind of comes to my head there. I think the standards that I was taught from childhood, from football, have helped me massively. My business partner and I have got a saying, like, the devil's in the details, and it's something that we just always try and relay to the team when we're talking about things. And they can be the smallest thing that no one will know, but subconsciously they'll be aware of it. So we're big on that. But that's come from probably Danny Lennon when I was at Cowdenbeath. He was ridiculous for it. You know, like,
what percent?
Oh, it was every single day. Like, it had to be spotless. Things, you know, we would be cleaning the stands, we'd be sweeping the speedway track around the stadium, we'd be painting, we'd be washing his car, we'd be like, you weren't allowed to leave until the jobs were done, like, impeccably. And those standards just get ingrained in you.
And do you think that's, obviously Scottish football stopped all that with youth and apprentices? Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, I'm very progressive. I like to move with the times. I think that because it worked then, it doesn't have to be the way now, but I'd like to see changes made so that they've still got jobs, but maybe the jobs have changed. So like, as I say, when we were growing up, we were sweeping the stands and all that. Do I think that they need to do that? Maybe not, but they need to do something that shows them that they have to have respect. Everything has to be done.
Responsibilities, discipline.
Yeah. So I don't know what that would be, but I definitely think
it might even be doing tactical analysis, like giving them homework, like go and watch this video, tell us how the opposition's set up,
present it in front of the team,
like something along those lines. Like in that way, again, they've got an assignment to do. They need to basically go and achieve it.
Yeah.
And what advice would you give to young athletes starting out in their career?
Self-awareness is so big.
So how do people become self-aware?
It's about having an honest conversation with yourself and writing down, again, I'm going back to journaling, like writing down what your strengths and what your weaknesses are, but not just like on a performance level, but on a human level. It's about being aware of how you feel. So if you're in a situation, so say I'm in a situation with you just now, we're doing this, and I'm feeling anxious or whatever, I'd go away and be like, okay, I felt anxious then when I was sitting with Kerr. Why? Okay, you know, and you're properly digging deep into feeling the way that you are, and then trying to address it. Okay, how can I get around this? All right, I'm feeling anxious because I'm in front of a camera, or, you know, I'm speaking in front of 20 people. Why is that? It's a confidence thing. I don't think I articulate myself very well. All right, okay, well, why don't you? I don't think I'm great with words. Why do you not think you're great with words? Right, and it's properly digging deep into that, and then you become aware of your weaknesses, and then you'll know how to work on them. But it takes a very honest conversation with yourself.
It's emotional intelligence as well.
It's massive.
Yeah.
In all walks of life, not just young athletes, but for everyone to be emotionally intelligent with what's going on in their mind and how they feel and why things are triggering them and how they can then address them. So
again, what I quite like what I do, it's like, see, in terms the chances of them being successful athletes, you need to have certain talent and obviously like push yourself to certain levels to get there, but nothing's set in stone. Like luck's a big chunk it, where if you pick up injuries or whatever may happen to stop you achieving what you want. But that's the reason I like it more, for the fact they can use this in any aspect of life. And I do generally think if they use these things and revert it to what you've done in terms of business, I think you're going to be unstoppable because you're always going to improve. And it's all about improving as a person. And if you can do that, I think you'll be successful in whatever you do.
I think as well, taking accountability is a big thing that there's a lot of, and it's not just kids, it's men and women of all ages. They don't take accountability for things. And, you know, in a lot of the videos and the personal development stuff I've done, there's a lot of people that are like, just take accountability for absolutely everything. Whether or not it's your fault or not, it can somehow be your fault. So it seems like, and I've come across it, and I came across players, and I was probably like this myself back in the day, where it was like, oh, he's not picked me this week, or he's got his favourites, or when actually, have you looked at yourself? Have you trained as hard as you can this week? Have you done absolutely everything you can do to give yourself the best chance? And if you have, then fine, you're not a fit. But if you haven't done that, then there's room for improvement.
100%.
And I think there's not a lot of people that do that these days.
It's an opportunity to learn. Predominantly, no matter what happens, like you said, in your business, things go wrong. It might not necessarily be your fault, but I'm sure there's a lesson that you can take away from that situation.
100%.
Yeah, no, I think that's been brilliant. Thank you very much for your time, mate. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.